Hello, this is Craig Mertens, Director of Product Education for Inktovo, the parent company of InkSoft, Printavo, GraphicsFlow, and now SignTracker. Welcome to the webinar today. I'm really excited about this topic. One of my favorite features about InkSoft is the InkSoft Designer. It's kind of how we got our start in the industry. InkSoft actually evolved as an online designer before it even became an e-commerce platform. So it really goes back to the roots of the application, and it's grown quite a bit since we originally started it. But the first thing I want to talk about is the use cases for the InkSoft Designer. And don't you just love it when somebody says, hey, you're doing it all wrong? Well, I kind of feel like a lot of times people don't use the designer to its full extent. And I think because there's some kind of a preconceived notion about how it should be mobilized. And let's talk about that real quick. So when I say you're doing it all wrong, I think there's a thinking, and it makes sense that people would think this way, that, you're going to be the next custom ink. Here, let's just do this for fun. Let's go into the Google machine and type in design custom t-shirt online. You don't even have to get that specific. Who comes up? Rush order tees and custom ink. Here you go. And then followed by Vistaprint. These are some pretty big players. I think everyone's heard this from their customers at some point, which is, I just want to be able to go and design a shirt online. And I think that's an important use case for the InkSoft Designer, because there are some customers, that's exactly what they want to do. They don't want to talk to you. They just want to go to a website, pick a product, select a design or upload a design and customize it and then check out. But is that going to be the majority of your clients? I would say no, unless you build your business model around that. If you build your business model around that and you spend money on search engine optimization, you really improve the UI of your website. So, you really push that aspect of your business. I think you can gain some traction and have some success there. But are you going to be the next custom make? Probably not, because you're not going to spend $40 million a year on advertising. So there's another use case for the InkSoft Designer that actually is really productive and makes more sense. And that's giving your customers a self-service experience where they can upload their own artwork and get it quote. So let's kind of dive into the designer. I'm going to just jump into our Circus Prints demo shop here, and let's kind of talk about those use cases. I'm in the InkSoft Designer for this store, and Joel, talk about a little bit about the curation process for adding products to the store. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, so with the designer, any products that you want to offer in a specific store's designer, so in this case, the Circus Print Shop store, you just need to assign those blank products to the store, and then automatically they'll be then available in the designer. So just got to make sure the products are in your account and then assign them to the store, and that's all you got to do.
Perfect. And we'll actually go through that. We're going to build out a custom designer a little bit later, but that's actually really important. And I feel like there's a best practice here. One of the things that I see when I'll go to customers, their designer, and again, I'm on your stores all the time. I'm always checking out stores, and I always like to see what people are doing and use that as kind of a basis for showing best practices. And hey, this customer's got a great store. Look what they've done. So I'm on your stores pretty frequently, and I go into somebody's designer and they have 100 products in there. That's too many. When you're going to implement the designer, you just want to put the basics in there. Your most profitable products, things that are readily in inventory that you can get. I'm going to put in a Golden 2000 t-shirt. More than likely, you're going to put in a long sleeve tee as well. I'm going to put in a crew neck and put in a hoodie, and I might drop in a tech fabric shirt, something of that nature. But I'm not going to dump a ton of products in there. And each of you know your market, so you know what's selling. I just don't want to present the customer with too many choices. I want to help them to just kind of funnel their way through this process. So I would say, a minimum of 6 products and maybe a maximum probably of 20, unless you have some kind of specialized business where maybe you have your own product line and you're building out your own products and you want to put your whole product line there. That's a little bit different. In this version of the designer, you'll notice we also have signed products and even a gang sheet for transfers. So I'm just going to select this product here. I'm going to go to the Design Now experience. And I think most folks are familiar with, the ability to add art, go and select a design template, take that template and edit that template in the InkSoft Designer. I think most people are familiar with that. And that's the kind of the custom ink business model. And there's thousands of design templates built into InkSoft. So that one's pretty easy. But is that going to produce at a high volume level? It can. if you market it right and you can configure it right. But as far as just people just randomly finding you on the internet, probably not. But here's another use case is the upload your own art. To me, that's a better option. If you're talking to your customers and you're talking to a client, they have a marketing department, or maybe you're talking to the HR department. They've designed their own graphic. This concept of the human resources department being able to upload their own artwork and get a quote, they wanted to, they could even, set up all the kind of the rudiments for their whole product line. So if I go over here and I select file, and I think most folks know how this works, and I upload some artwork, and I'm just going to go and upload a file from Central Boosters, and I'm going to upload a PDF file. So let's talk about file formats right now. Joel, what are the typical file formats that you see people uploading to the designer? What if you were to kind of rank them and say, your recommendations on the best formats?
Best formats would probably be PDF or SVG for vector.
Yep.
Those would be my go-to. Anything else may not have success with, but PDF and SVG are definitely the best.
Those are two very standardized formats. The other format for vector-based artwork that's composed of lines and objects you'll hear about is EPS. But EPS is slightly problematic, and because there's so many flavors of EPS files based on the program that created them. So for instance, if they were created in Adobe Illustrator, they have specific settings and types to that EPS file versus if they're created in CorelDRAW or possibly a sign making program. So you will hear me say this over and over again: PDF, 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 very generic format, preserves all the colors in the file. And then the secondary format that we'd recommend for vector artwork would be an SVG file, which is actually somewhat related to PDF files. Any of your common graphics formats that process vector art can all create either a PDF or an SVG. So I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to select this graphic, and we're just going to click on open. And there's something kind of magical happening behind the scenes. What's going on here is InkSoft is taking a look at this PDF file, and it's doing two really important things. Thing number one is it's saying, hey, what are the colors in this graphic? And it's parsing these colors out. So it knows there's 5 colors in this graphic. It knows that. And I can see that it also has a white and a slightly off-white, which is maybe like a little bit of a gray. So it knows that. And the second thing that it's doing, in addition to parsing those colors out, it's having to make a judgment call as to what those colors should be colored to. So we have a standardized palette that we set up in the designer, and the software is matching as closely as possible to that standardized palette. Joel, anything you want to add there about color palettes in the designer?
You can control what colors are available for a customer if you want to. So that might be handy for like a college store, but that's pretty much it. You can, just say you can only change the colors maroon and yellow for like ASU or something like that.
Yeah, and I think the other use case on that is people that want to limit their color offering to their ink colors that they process for, their screen printing business. They don't want to mix custom colors. That's the one that I hear that comes up quite often. And yeah, again, InkSoft is very powerful. You can go in and create palettes and limit colors and all kinds of neat things. Let's delete this PDF and let's upload a PNG file. And let's go and do that. So I'm going to select the same folder I've got over here, but I've got some PNG files sitting in here. Here's the same file right here. When we process this, it's treating it a little bit differently. It's detected that this is a bitmap file. I don't have to remove a white background in this file because when I created this PNG file, I had the software automatically create a transparent background, but there is white in this graphic. And maybe I'm doing sublimation and, I don't really have the ability to print the white, or maybe I want the white to show through. If I went over here and said, remove all white, the white from the graphics is going to be parsed out. And then when I click on continue, I can select a color profile. And this is really important when, you're working with your customers that do this. If they select a color profile that's black and white, this is going to turn this graphic into like a grayscale image. If they go over here and select a color profile that's one color, it's going to try to one color this, and it's not going to look good in one color because all the white areas just became red. It'll probably look fine as a 2-color. It looks good as a 2-color. And then if I start going into 3 colors here, it's picking up this kind of this lighter grayish color here. But what it's doing is it's doing color limiting. It's saying, hey, we're going to take all the colors that are closest to this red and we're going to make them red. Where this becomes very problematic is when you have files that are like photorealistic that literally have thousands of colors in them. This particular process was really designed for, would you say, Joel, for screen printing art, where we're trying to limit the colors down to a set number of colors for screen printing? Would you indicate that is probably the main use case for this?
Yeah, if you're going to select a color count, chances are that's for a screen print job. Otherwise, you have full color for everything else.
Yeah, and I believe if you don't have the process for screen printing enabled for the product, I don't even believe it gives you the choice of doing color limits, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah, if you turn that off, then it'll just be full color or black and white.
Yeah, so let's talk about what full color is. Full color is just not making any alterations whatsoever to the colors in the file. It's as is. So if somebody had a photo in here or a photorealistic image with thousands of images, it would make more sense for them to upload this as full color. But if you have in the product itself, if you've enabled the production process for screen printing, then you will be able to get these options for color limiting. And so I think that where that's interesting is, we have a lot of clients that have direct-to-film printers now and DTG printers, and they actually, even though they're not screen printing this, they still want to give the customer the ability to use color limits with their artwork. And I think that's actually a good idea. So by enabling screen printing doesn't mean you're going to be screen printing this. It's just going to give you the color limiting. So in this design, we're just going to leave this at 2 colors, and we're going to hit finish. And again, now I have the ability, if I want to, and turn this into Minnesota Vikings colors, I can go in there and do that to my heart's content, even though this file is a bitmap. It's not composed of lines and objects. This is giving your customer the ability to upload their artwork and get that quote. And something that's happened is when we upload the artwork, we can do what's called download a render package. And Joel, when we download the render package for this, can we download the original unedited artwork, or is it only going to be the artwork that they edit?
It will come with the original file. I believe that is the print-ready version.
Now, do we expect our customers to know the difference between bitmaps and vectors? No, we don't. But I think that's where, when you're educating a buyer, says, hey, if you're going to upload your own artwork and get a quotation, would be preferred from us for your marketing department as a PDF file. That would be optimal. If not a PDF, then a PNG with a transparent background. And you might not understand what that means, but your person that's doing art will definitely understand that. But there is kind of another scenario where it's just a random person uploading their artwork to get a quote. Maybe somebody stumbled across the internet and found you and they're getting a quote. But in the purposes of this use case, what we're proposing is that we're encouraging our customers to upload artwork so they can create their own little mock-up. And sometimes it's just a matter of them wanting to see what it looks like. They're not going to check out. They're just going in here and they're getting a rough idea what the artwork's going to look like. And that's a pretty common thing. But it's important to recognize what happens when a client saves a design. So I'm actually logged in as an admin. So if I save a design, I don't have to set up a new account. But Joel, what happens if you're not logged in and you're designing and you want to save the design?
You can still save it. And the InkSoft admin would get design notification saved email. It's just if you were to try and, do a reorder or something like that, if you didn't create a user account, you wouldn't have access to that. But, regardless if you have a user account or not, if you save a design, that design will then be saved in the InkSoft account so the admin can access it.
Partly what we're talking about here is the customer can still create a design, save the design, and check out, but they can't go back and access their account to retrieve that design because they never really created an account that was associated with that design. But the design is still saved, even though they didn't associate it with an account. The design is still saved in InkSoft, and I believe it's saved under uncategorized designs is where it's saved. Correct, Joel?
I believe it's under art, design ideas. You would hit manage, and then you can filter to a store. That'd probably be the best way to find it.
But let's say the customer did create an account and they saved the design. And anytime they save a design, when I set up this designer, what I can do is I can set up a notification that says, hey, when you have a design saved in your version of the designer for this store, send me an email, because I don't have the visibility on that any other way. I don't, it doesn't show up as a job because an order wasn't created. It's not an abandoned cart because they never went through the checkout process. But what they did do is they saved that design And if they have an account, then I get a report, or not a report, but I get an email that says, hey, this design was saved by this user. And guess what I can do? I can follow up with them. I can send them a little email that says, hey, I noticed you designed this online and you didn't check out. But we have a special on Gildan 2000 shirts. I can do this if you order a minimum order quantity of 4 dozen. I can do your shirt for 6.25. So it gives you the latitude to do that. So we've saved the design. So we're going to go to the next step. And, this is going to be priced out based on the pricing rules that I set up for this particular version of the designer. And I've got pricing rules in here. You want to talk about pricing rules for a second, Joel? Like, going different rules for different designers and different processes?
Yeah, so typically you use a pricing rule just to handle the blank shirt markup. So what we typically see is a markup based on what you pay per shirt from the supplier. So if you pay, and you can totally customize it. You can say if an item costs me between $0 and $2.50, then apply 125% markup. Once it goes above $2.50, you can say $2.51 to $5, only markup by 100%. So you can fully scale up your pricing with a pricing rule and just blanket that across all of your products.
So basically that's creating a quantity discount in a sense. When they go to the next step here, and incidentally in the designer, I think most folks are aware, if I price this out at 1, I'm going to get a price here. What it's doing is it's using screen printing price based on the pricing rule I set up, and then the imprint cost based on 2 colors. If I go over here and I do 1, because I've got a minimum order quantity, I think on here, pretty sure I didn't set a minimum order quantity on this store. I believe I can do 1, but I do 1, it's $25 because we're not gonna penalize the customer for ordering 1, but we have handling and certain things, and we're probably gonna print this more than likely at a DTG printer, possibly a direct-to-film transfer. But once they go through here and they go to the buy now process and they add this to the cart and they go to the checkout, maybe they go to the checkout and, they put all their information in and they get to the, point where they're getting ready to pay for this, and we'll go to the cart. This is an InkSoft demo store. We added a custom field. No orders will be processed. Okay, I got it. Forcing me to acknowledge that. That's a great use case for custom checkout fields, which you can add to your InkSoft. And we'll come through here and I'm going to pick up my order, and I set a pickup method in there. We get to this point and I don't check out. This is going to show up as an abandoned cart, and that's going to show up, I believe, in stores. We can go and take a look at that real quick. And again, this is a great opportunity for you to go in and follow up with the customer because they just bailed on you. We can go into this order and we can see exactly what's going on here. And guess what? You got a little button, email customer. Right from here, I can email a customer and it will provide a link to check out. If you click over here, I can go back to the shopping cart, but I can also just copy the customer cart link and put it in my own email, or I can just email based on a template. What I would recommend doing as a best practice is copying this customer cart link and doing a more personalized email and then just putting the link in there. Are they going to actually check out? Probably not, but it gives me an opportunity to follow up with them, because what did I just do here? I collected a lead. Now I think everybody has a pretty decent understanding of kind of those 2 primary use cases for the designer. One is that self-service design experience. Customer goes and edits a template, get a quote, checks out, or maybe they just want to see what it looks like. And then the other one is the customer uploads their own artwork. Maybe they just want to see it on a product or get a quote. They can or cannot check out, but either way, I end up with a lead. There's a third use case, and I think this third use case, in my opinion, is the most compelling use case. It's been my experience that the easier you can make it for people to do business with you, the more likely they are to buy from you and to stay with you. And one of the challenges, I think it's just human nature. Some of us just, we just get complacent. Business is good, orders are pouring in, don't have to really work that hard. But all of a sudden, you know what happens? There's a new competitor that comes into town, and that new competitor goes to all the high schools in the area and the junior highs. Maybe they get real creative and go to the elementary schools, and they create demo InkSoft stores. And in that demo InkSoft store, they go in and actually create designs specific to that school. And they load those designs into that demo InkSoft store, and they give the customer the ability to edit those designs. Wouldn't that be awesome? And you guys have had the ability to do that this entire time. This particular store right here, East Eagles Boosters, is a clone. We have a master store that we created. That master store was actually the central booster store. And so what I did is I took the central booster store and I cloned it. And when I cloned it, I gave it the option of, here, we can just, I'm not going to clone this, but I'm just going to kind of show you the idea. We added this option, which has been new for a couple months now, include products in store. So why would I do that? Here's why. Because I don't want to have to go and curate the products for the store. I already know that I got my 6 best products in the store already configured. And I already know that I have 2 graphics in that store. And now we have global art replacement. So those 2 graphics, I can swap the printed graphic out with a new printed graphic. It'll replace all products in there. And then I can swap out the embroidered graphic with a new embroidered graphic, a DST file, and it'll swap out all the artwork on my hat. So I don't have to create this from scratch. And this concept of global art replacement, it is a huge big deal. And you said this to me that was really interesting. I was really fixated on that feature from the point of view of cloning stores. And you pointed out to me, it's just a really useful feature within a store if you just want to switch artwork in a store. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. So not only can you clone a store, but if your store is going to have multiple versions of the same SKU, you could easily just copy those products and then replace the artwork in bulk for those SKUs too. So it's more features than just cloning a store and cloning the products.
Yeah, and I think like if you had a store that you closed and then you opened up that store in the spring and you wanted to introduce a whole new set of graphics, that's where that bulk art replacement's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So we created this store. It's this East Eagles Booster store. And it's a really simple store, but I think it's a really nice looking store. It checks all the boxes. We got a nice little logo over here. I've got the designer linked into here. I actually have the GraphicsFlow art portal in here too, if somebody wants to look through some designs. We set up a little fundraiser in here. I've got some stock products in here. I think it's my 6 most popular products that I use. But what's this right here? Customized design. Check it out. They can go to customized design. They're linking right to an East Eagles design, and they want to go add the word soccer. Guess what they can do? They can add the word soccer. Now, the way I set this up so they can't change anything else in the design. They can change the colors, but this whole thing right here is a solid piece of vector art that's locked. They can't change it. But this text in here, I set this text up so that is the one thing within the design that they can change. And they can change the font, they can change the colors, they can go crazy. And you'll notice this font is the game day font, and that's important to remember that. So put that one in the locker because we're going to come back to that. But they can, if they want, and go and do a colorway. So maybe they want to change this out to like a navy blue t-shirt here. So let's go down here and get rid of all these, see the little X's here. So now we're back at navy. And, if they want to take the navy areas here and make that like a light gray to create a different colorway, they can do that. And then again, they can get a quote or they can check out. So the only thing that we're allowing them to do in this store is edit a very select group of designs. And I happen to create a link to that select group of designs utilizing what's called a sharing link. And you'll notice, wow, there's a sharing button. When you configure the designer, and we'll go through the designer settings, I can enable sharing. And, I think the initial intent of that is like, hey, I'm working with a customer and they want to show it to the rest of the group. They can send a link to the design to the rest of their group, and then people can, yay, thumbs up, thumbs down. They can vote on it, use it to collaborate, pick out a graphic. But there's another use case for this is if I grab this sharing link is unique to just this graphic and product. You click on that link, you're going to go right to this graphic and this product. There's a little trick that you can do in the InkSoft store. If I go over here to the editor, is we created a content block, created a screen grab of the shirt, and I went and uploaded the screen grab. And then what I did is I backspaced, didn't click on the graphic, but I backspaced on the graphic, and then I put in the URL and what I wanted it to say. And what I wanted it to say, I think, was customize this design. And then I center justified this. And so once you do that, you get this. So you get the little link that you added. It's centered to the page. You've got your thumbnail. The way I created the thumbnail is if I go over here to next step, I get this nice image right here. And in Windows, what you can do is you can just go to the Windows key, Shift, and S, and you get your little snip tool. And there's a similar keyboard shortcut in Mac. I just grabbed a screen grab, and I have the ability now, it gives me a little prompt to save this as a PNG file. And I just saved it as a PNG file. That's how I got it in there. To me, that's the easiest way to get the thumbnail. I don't have to go and download a render package or anything because I could do it that way as well. And this is a nice high-res image as illustrated by how great it looks on that store. The style editor here is, what it really does is it showcases the power of the content block. It's just a really neat way to leverage the content block. And I could put additional images in here. I could do 3-up. I could do some really creative things by doing that. And what we're doing is we're providing an extra level of service for that particular customer and say, hey, customer, I've created these neat designs for you, but if your people want to go and add the sports, they can do that. So we don't have to carry all 27 sports from the school, men's and women's. They can go and add their own sport. Or if they want to add a staff, math staff or seniors or whatever they want to do. To me, that's just such a nice touch. And there's something else that we did for this store that's maybe one step cooler. If they go into this store, there's a whole bunch of preloaded designs in here too. So I went in and added additional design ideas, even added some banner templates, but I added additional design ideas in here. I've got a total of 7 in there, and there's going to be 8 here in a minute because I'm going to show you guys how to set one of these up. So this is the third use case. To me, this is something really special. This is something that your customers can get excited about. It's something that's very unique to them. It's, I think, a much better experience than having them, their custom ink experience. When you're talking to a buyer, a school administrator, parent, booster, that person that you're trying to set up that store for, maybe custom ink enters the conversation. I think you can very graciously point out to the customer, it's like, hey, listen, when you guys go to custom ink and you buy shirts, 2 things are happening. Number 1, you're paying an inflated retail price. But number 2 is the school's not getting anything for that. So custom ink's making all the money. They're not giving anything back to you when you just go and design. Now you can, but custom ink, you can go and set up stores and do revenue sharing and things like that. But most of the time people are just logging into custom ink, designing something, ordering shirts for the group. Schools get nothing on that. And even worse, paying a retail price. If I set up a store for you and add customizable designs into your store that your people can go and interact with, you get a percentage of that. And it's whatever you work out with the customer. And that's not my own idea. That idea came to me from a customer of mine. He says, yeah, I have to deal with this all the time. I just tell the school administrators, so like, you guys aren't making anything from this stuff getting sold on custom ink. By setting up these stores now, you're giving your people a more customized experience, but you're also getting a revenue share out of that. But the trick is having cool graphic. How did we get to here? How did we get to this cool graphic? Here's how we did it. I'm going to log into our sister company, into GraphicsFlow. So I'm in my GraphicsFlow account. GraphicsFlow is a sister company to InkSoft. We're all part of the Inktober family. And in its pure sense, GraphicsFlow is this massive depository of graphics. These are vector-based graphics. They're all fully editable. I think one of the biggest questions that comes up about GraphicsFlow is, hey, how are these graphics different than the graphics in the InkSoft Designer? The InkSoft Designer is created to create an end-user experience where somebody that doesn't have any really knowledge or graphics experience can create and edit artwork at a very simplistic level. And so it doesn't have the same level of features, let's say, of the kind of the 2 benchmark graphics programs in our industry for vector artwork, which is CorelDRAW and Adobe Illustrator. Guess what we're editing in here? We're editing the native file that was created in Adobe Illustrator or Corel. There's a duplicate set of files. We're actually editing on that file. So what that allows us to do is have the full editing capability, including colors and gradients and blends and overlays and outlines and text on a path, all these things that make these designs really neat. It's giving us the ability to do that right in GraphicsFlow. And so I don't have to go to an external program. And where that's really handy is if, say, I don't have a big in-house art department and I just want to kind of take some power over my own artwork, guess what? I can do that. I don't have to be some kind of graphics pro to do that. So, if I'm going to go in here and just set up a simple little graphic, and maybe I want to set up a new graphic that's just kind of generic in nature, what I can do is just go over here, maybe go to this design right here, and we'll click on it. And this design has a weathered overlay. So let me show you something new in GraphicsFlow. So when I go into customize in GraphicsFlow and this design has a weathered overlay, we launched an update earlier in the week that does a couple important things. Number one is you get a colored view so you can see what's going on. This weathered overlay is just a rectangle that's sitting over the graphic, and that's what's creating that effect. Maybe you don't want to have that weathered overlay effect in your graphic. So now we display the weathered overlay, and you can see it by shuttling on the little dark preview, and then we can just turn it off. So we're just going to go in here and turn the overlay off. So it's just a graphic. And we're going to go and type in here East High Eagles, and where it says Eagles down here, insert sport. There we go. So we've got that set up. And if I want to make this a little bit bigger where it says East High, I can go in and increase the size, stretch it. I can pretty much do whatever I want, which I think looks a little bit better. And then the other thing that we're going to do with this is replace out the clip art. So I'm going to go over here where we got the wrestlers. I'm just going to click on this and say replace artwork, and I'm going to type in the word eagle. And we have a massive library of very cool vector-based artwork. And we're going to plop this eagle right in there. See what that looks like. Looks pretty good. Hit apply. We could shrink that down a little bit. And then what we're going to do is recolor it. So right here, I know that this blue right here, I know definitely I'm going to make that white. So I'm actually recoloring the clip art. And I know this color right here, I'm going to make it navy right there. So I just recolored the clip art, which established the colors that we're going to use in the design. So now all I really need to do is in the design itself is click on that gold and make it the same color gold. I don't have to stay with this font. I can change it right in here if I want to. Let's go in here and do that. So insert sport. Let's change that font. But I'm just going to do game day regular here. And then for the East High, we're going to do the same thing. So we'll apply that. We're going to do the same thing with Eagles. So we're just going with a more traditional look here. Important step, turn off insert sport because we're going to reset this in InkSoft. So where insert sport is, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mute that. I can bring it back later because I'm going to save this design. It's going to save this layout here. So if I want to go and come back later and do something different with this and turn it on, I can do that. But I want to save the design. I have a folder here, probably for East Eagles. Yep, I do. Let's name it East Eagles. We'll save it in there. And then the next step is we're going to download the PDF file. Here, East Eagles store files, PDFs. I'm going to save it in there. And then we're ready to set this up in InkSoft. The part that we turned off is the part we're going to type into InkSoft to create the name droppable template. This part right here, this is all going to come into InkSoft as one unified piece. So they're not going to be able to go in here and edit the whole thing. The only thing they're going to be able to edit is the line of text that we set up. I'm going to edit this in the designer in the store. So I'm logged in as an admin. Now I could go to the tool in InkSoft that allows me to go and edit, create my own design templates. So if I go into artwork and I go in here and say, create new design, the internal designer for creating and saving designs actually has fewer options available in terms of the designing. It's kind of a simpler user interface. So the kind of the best practice that I've been teaching my customers is just log into the store as an admin, go to the designer and build it in the store and just save it. So I'm going to put this on the Ash shirt. I'm going to go and upload that PDF file because that's going to parse out the vector artwork. So we've got the file, and this needs to probably be centered a little bit more, a little bit lower. These vertical files, probably a little bit lower. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to add text, and I'm just going to type in insert sport. And I'm going to go down here and under, I believe it's under collegiate, DAS game day. There we go. Because guess what? The fonts in GraphicsFlow and the fonts in InkSoft line up. Make sure it's not typoed. Check twice, print once, and then just save it. So I'm going to go over here and save this. And East Eagles split block. I'm going to save the design. And that's really it. So I've saved this. So where did this design land? Let's go back to our dashboard here. I'm going to go down to art. So where the design landed is it landed under uncategorized designs in artwork. So what do I want to do is I want to assign this to a store. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to find my East Eagles store right here. And I'm going to select the category. So one thing I did already is I went and created a new category that's just East Eagles designs. And we'll show you how to do that in a second. But I'm going to go ahead and add this to my East Eagles designs category. I think all I need to do at this point is just say saved. And then that's going to take a little while, a few seconds to update into the store. But the way you would add a category is if I go down to design ideas and I go to categories down here. So we choose the store. And so the store I'm going to choose is the East Eagles store. And that's going to actually show me the existing categories that are in there already. So you can see I created this. And the way I created it is I just said create new. I gave it a category. A parent category means it's going to be a subcategory. So I could make a subcategory under here, but I just named the category East Eagles. And I also created a category East Eagles banner. You can upload an image. I uploaded the little Eagles logo that I created. And then you just say create category. Here it is. And then if you want to add it to your instance of the designer, all you need to do is just check it. And then you want to make sure it's not hidden. And then you just save this. So let's go back to our little store here. East Eagles boosters. I'll go back to create. Design now. Add art. Browse design ideas. There we go. That's literally one of the most powerful functions of the InkSoft Designer that people rarely use. And we have customers that do this on a very innovative level. I have a client that their main business is selling race car graphics to the racing industry. And they have very detailed graphics that have, they've gone into their graphics and they've had people do these very fancy Photoshop illustrations. And the very fancy graphic is the static part that doesn't change. And then the only thing that changes is maybe the location or the driver or the number. And so they've done these very intricate jobs with these NASCAR designs. So these files don't have to be these simplified files. And one of the things that I think is really impressive about InkSoft that people really don't utilize is I've gone in here. I'm just going to do a banner real quick. I've added a sign product, which in this case is a banner. And in this store, I've set it up for senior signs. So I created a design idea with a seniors banner right there. I can sell banners. I don't even have to do the production. I can just have them design their own banner. I have a third-party supplier that I work with. I send it off to them to do production. They roll it up in a tube and they ship it to my customer and I cash a check. A banner like this is going to cost me $20 to $30 to get produced, and I'm going to charge $100 to $120. So if you're not selling banners, it's just literally the perfect complement to wearables. So what can you do? You can create a package, and that package includes a banner, includes a t-shirt, and maybe a hoodie, or maybe an embroidered headwear like a beanie or a baseball cap. This is kind of the ultimate use of the InkSoft Designer. And the one thing that I wanted to get across today was how easy it is to create your own design templates, especially if you have a program like GraphicsFlow where you have thousands of design templates that are already pre-built. That makes it even easier because I had the same fonts line up in the InkSoft Designer. All I had to do is reset the text and I was done. And I created a custom design. When I'm in this store and I go to store admin, you have a button here. This is going to obviously indicate the products that are in the store. This is going to indicate the artwork that's in the store. And this is going to indicate store settings. And so I haven't taken this design that I just created and added it in the store to create a decorated product, but I can certainly do that. I can go in here and split block and add this product to my store. If I want to create custom products with this graphic on it, I can do that. And, I'd probably want to go and edit this in the designer first. So it has some text in here, but I have the latitude to do that. But this little cog down here, this is where you have the ability to really do a lot of these settings that, in my opinion, are really important. So a couple of things that I want to always kind of urge my customers to do is under store notifications. It's not on by default. I like to see when orders are coming in. If you're processing thousands of orders, you don't want instant store notifications. You probably want the daily summary report, but save design notifications. I want that turned on, because if I don't have that turned on, then I don't have any visibility on customers are creating stuff in my store because they haven't checked out. I do have visibility if they go all the way through the process and abandon their cart, but if they just save a design, the only way I'm going to know about it is in here. Another thing that we want to talk about, and I have a very eager production department, and before I even get a chance to think about it, they're going in and producing it. That's not a good thing, because there could be a typo, like there could be a problem with the colors, there could be issues. So on this particular store, under checkout settings, notice what's toggled on: require order approval. Do you want to talk about that section right there, Joel?
Yeah, so especially with designer orders, chances are the customer, like you're saying, might make a mistake. So it's probably a good idea to at least require order approval for designer or upload now products right there, that second option. But you have more options here. So, if you're offering customers the ability to submit an order without payment, you can track those as well. Another thing I'd also recommend is any order that, exceeds, say, $1,000 or something, if someone's going to place a larger order with you in the designer, you might want to just double check with them, make sure everything's good to go before you start production.
So easy enough to configure that any way you want. I think the most common use case is orders that include designer upload now products. There's another issue there too, is, somebody could be uploading artwork that you're just not comfortable printing from a point of view of graphics or whatever the copy is. And you're like, I don't really want to print that. And so you'd be able to find out that's something that you don't want to print. These orders are all coming into my approval queue. So we'll come back to that in a second. But when you reject an order, it'll send an email out that says, hey, we've rejected this order. So it'll notify the customer, and you always have the ability to notify them, yourself. But as soon as you reject it, it'll tell them that rejected it. But if you go into your designer here, you do have a lot of latitude in terms of that experience for the customer. So I have the designer turned on right here. I have reveal blank pricing and catalog turned off. I think that's generally, would you agree, Joel? That's generally a thing that most people are going to want to turn off.
100%.
But that sharing button, I can't do that little trick with the sharing of the file if I don't at least turn that on to grab the link. I could turn it on, grab the link, and turn it off if I wanted to. Sharing design is on by default. Enforce boundaries, that's just going to require the graphic to go within the boundaries of the imprint area. I have design ideas turned on. I have clipart turned on. I can go in and add my design ideas. The easiest thing to do oftentimes is just to copy them over from another store. So our main InkSoft demo, Circus Prints demo store has all the templates turned on. So we can just go in and select that store and copy them over. You also have the ability to come in here and, manage categories. We were in here before where you can just go and select the store and choose what categories there are for that specific store. So I always have the latitude to go in and, select this store and turn categories on or off. And you can do exactly the same thing with clipart. And then upload art. I would always have that on. Is the customer going to upload production ready artwork? No, probably not. If they upload a vector art, you can take that vector art and you can go in and do some edits on it, make sure it's ready for your processes. I'm going to take whatever art they want to upload. If they want to upload a 72 DPI horrible looking JPEG, I'll let them do that, because I have an opportunity to have a conversation with them about that now. They uploaded the cruddy art, really can't print off that, but now they're in the system. I can talk to them and say, hey, listen, I noticed that you uploaded the art. It's really not print quality. We can certainly get that fixed up for you for print quality. We just have here's our minimum order quantity. Even if they place an order with that cruddy art, we still have the opportunity to follow up with them. And I'm of the belief that, fixing art for customers is well worth it, because it only costs me $10 to send that artwork off to have somebody redraw it. If I send it off to like good folks over at Graphic Source, they're going to charge me $10 to do that. And that's well worth it, especially if I have a $300 or $400 order. So I'm going to take whatever artwork they send me, because I don't have the opportunity to have the conversation with them if they can't upload it. A lot of times people will be like, hey, where'd my order go? Well, you had approval set up, so it's going to be sitting in here. until I go in here and approve it, it's not going anywhere. If I approve it, now it's going to go into my queue. If I reject it, it's going to send that email out. I just rejected it, and I can put whatever comments I want in there and whatever reason, licensing policy, maybe it's an NFL logo. And obviously you want to have a conversation with the customer on that, but they get the little rejection notice. I'd probably put, hey, I'm going to follow up with you about what we need to do to correct this. Guess what it did now? It canceled this order. The order is canceled until we have an opportunity to follow up with the customer. This is what we wanted to do today. We wanted to encourage you to utilize the InkSoft Designer to its fullest potential. I would challenge you to try this with a client. Pick one of your easy clients, somebody that you really have a good relationship with. Go in and take a couple of designs out of your GraphicsFlow account or some of the things that you've created. Create a 4 to 6 customized designs. I mean, load them into the designer in their store, and you can also obviously load those as pre-decorated products as well. Because the one thing the customer always has the latitude of doing, if you load those designs in the store, or if they've gone into their store and they've created their own designs, if they created an account and they log in, they can see everything that they've saved. And even crazier than that, if they go into their designs, let me tell you, they can go and re-edit that too. Edit in Designer. They can do it right from their account in their stores. So I'm just going to encourage you guys to try that, because I know from customers that do this, it just locks those people in and it keeps them off custom ink, because you want to keep them off the custom inks of the world. You want them to be leaning on you as their creative resource instead of going to the internet, because you might not get them back. Thank you again, Joel, for coming on. You always get me out of trouble. I've become pretty adept at the InkSoft platform, but there's all these neat little nuanced things that you learn along the way, and our job is to share those with you guys. Thank you again for supporting us and attending InkSoft Academy.